I think we've got a pretty good foundation here as to how you gain influence on the spectrum of influence. Now let's take a look and let me show you how the game is played. As you can see, we've assigned some numbers to our sales behavior. Negative impactors gets a -10, decelerators gets a -5, accelerators +5, and positive impactors +10. You might be asking yourself, why am I quantifying behavior? Good question. The reason is because if I can't quantify it, I can't measure it. If I can't measure it, I will never know where I stand on the spectrum of influence. We've been doing some theorizing here. Let's take a look at how it might happen in the real world. You're a sales rep. You've just been given an account, and you've got to go in and build a relationship with that account, and we've said we want to build it as quickly as possible. So what you do is on your first call, it happens to be Independence Day, you show up, and because it's a day for celebration, you bring in some chocolates, you show some thoughtfulness. I don't know too many people that don't reward thoughtfulness. You just scored 5 points. You said you'd be there at 9 o'clock. You show up at 9 o'clock. You were timely. A lot of people aren't timely. You just scored another 5 points. They asked you to bring in some information. You did. You followed up. You scored another 5 points. You walk in, you're dressed for success. You look incredible. You look professional. You just scored another 5 points. You do a lot of non-eventful stuff. You give them price pages and quote some dates and some empirical information that certainly you need to do, but it's not going to score you any points. And then you conclude the sales call and you go home. About a week later, you're going to make that call again. Unfortunately, the night before, you had an argument with your significant other person. You didn't get a lot of sleep. You wake up, you're tired. Maybe you don't shave. You put on some clothes you've been wearing for a couple of days that don't look all that good, and you go into the account. You called him and told him you'd be there at 9 o'clock. You show up at 9:30. You just dropped 5 points. You're not looking very good. You've created an impression here about unprofessionalism. You just dropped another 5 points. You told him you'd bring in information. You didn't bring in that information. You just dropped another 5 points. They find out because you didn't do some research that you're going to call on somebody after you make that call on them that's their competitor. That's the enemy. Friend of a friend is a friend. Friend of an enemy is the enemy. You just dropped another 5 points. That sales call comes to an end. First sales call, you were up 20 points. Second sales call, you're down 20 points. 20 minus 20 gets you back to 0. You're back in the non-event. In and out, hot and cold, wet and dry, will keep you in the non-event for the rest of your life. And as we know, nothing happens when you are in the non-event.